Thank you everyone for joining in today's Healing Circle Talks with Dr. Gayatri. And before we begin the circle, please allow me to read the guidelines. Healing circles are safe havens. They are built on a foundation of kindness and respect. We all agree to listen to each other with compassion and curiosity. We honor each other's unique ways of healing and don't presume to advise or fix or try to save each other. We hold all the stories shared in the circle confidential, and we trust each one of us has guidance we need within us, and we rely on the power of silence to access it. So today we have with us Dr. Gayatri, and she's a multiple myeloma cancer winner. She's a pediatrician by profession and married to an Air Force pilot for the last 30 years with two lovely daughters. In November 2001, she was diagnosed with multifocal plasmacytomas, a variant of multiple myeloma, which is a type of cancer. She had been through a series of misdiagnoses and a long period of immobility. Cancer showed her the spiritual path, and she gathered tremendous strength and courage through meditation and the readings of Sri Paramhans Yogananda. Finally, she came out of it victorious. She believes in God and knew that she could bear this pain and could be brave enough to go through this ordeal. So it's an honor to have you here with us, Dr. Gayatri. And over to you. Would love to hear your journey, how it began in 2001. It's almost 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So, Dr. Gayatri, would you like to begin with this?
Yeah, sure, Dimple. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to speak to all of you today, all those present here. So I have shared my journey a number of times with many groups, just with the hope that I can inspire people around. So I will just tell you my story in a gist, because it's a long journey. 20 years is a long time. So it started in 2001 November. I had pain in my left, just the region below my left knee. And the pain slowly, over a period of a week or two, it became so excruciating that I needed a support of a stick to walk around. And so then after that immediately followed a lot of visits to the doctor, etc. And they told me that yes, this is a tumor of the bone, and once we operate you should be fine. So they operated. In November I was operated. Once I was operated, after the biopsy report came, the biopsy report said that it is not a bone tumor, but it is a multifocal. I mean, it is a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is again a type of blood cancer. It's a lymphoma. But then there was a lot of diagnostic dilemma between for the diagnosis, because the sample which I sent to Tata Memorial said it is a multiple myeloma, while people in Delhi said it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But it was a very aggressive presentation, so they agreed to treat me for lymphoma, because most of the drugs are the same used in both the cancers. So I went through 6 cycles of chemotherapy, and since I had had a surgery for the tumor had not healed. So my leg was in a cast for almost 4 months. Oh. And after that, there was a brace which was fitted on the leg, but I could not walk. So even after 4 to 5 months, I was walking with the help of a walker, just moving around the house. So after 6 months, there was, the chemo did not help, and I was just where I was. So then they said, okay, this is not non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, it is multiple myeloma, finally. And then they decided to take me up for a bone marrow transplant. So see, the diagnosis is not easy in such cases, because the cells are almost very similar, the presentation is. So it is, such kind of dilemmas do take place when you're diagnosing something like this. So in August 2002, I went through so then in 2002 August, I went through an autologous bone marrow transplant. So this was a planned transplant. Autologous transplant basically means that they give you back your own cells after giving you a very high dose chemotherapy. So they collect the cells, bone marrow cells beforehand. Then you're given a high dose chemotherapy, and then after that you are given the cells back. So that's what happened. And during the transplant also, I had two very near escapes to my life at that time, but I came out of it. And all through, even before the transplant, my doctor had explained to me that, Gayatri, this is going to be, it is a risky procedure and all. But I told him that, sir, you just go ahead with what you have to do, and I'm going to be fine. So he literally told me, no, do you really realize what I'm trying to tell you? I said, yes, I know what you're trying to tell me, but I'm also telling you. Because at that time, I was myself, young. I was just 34, and my children were young. They were only 5 and 7-year-old. So I wanted to live for them. It was something which I couldn't imagine, not being there for them. So I just told myself, you have no option. You just have to get better. So that's how I went through the transplant. And after 3 months, I had to go through another transplant, wherein it was called as a non-myeloablative. That means it is a reduced intensity bone marrow transplant, wherein, but it was an allogenic transplant. Allogenic transplant means that there is a donor giving you his stem cells. So for this, my brother was the donor whose HLA matching was quite almost 90 to 100% with mine. So he was the donor for me. And I went through this allogenic transplant in CMC Vellore, because this was the first time such a transplant was taking place in India for multiple myeloma. So my doctors in the army hospital wanted me to be in a center which can handle, any kind of complications or whatever if they would arise. So I went to CMC Vellore, and I went through a allogenic bone marrow transplant there. So the allogenic bone marrow transplant, again, both the transplants itself are quite harrowing experiences to have, and they are very painful and can really pull you down at times. But I was really blessed to have a very good set of doctors looking after me in the army hospital also, and even in CMC Vellore, for which I'm really very grateful to them, because it was really their perseverance and the kind, they also never gave up on me. They kept trying something or the other, and that's how I went through the allogenic transplant. But after the allogenic transplant also, I relapsed again in August 2003. So at that time, my brother's cells were once again given back to me, with the hope that I would develop some kind of a graft versus host disease. So graft versus host disease is a kind of thing which happens, when some cells are given to you. Something that is foreign to your body is put into your body. So it's the body's way to react to those cells. So if the doctors are always hoping that, when the cells go into the body, the donor cells go, they will attack the cancer cells and they will kill the cancer cells. So, but in the bargain, they also attack a lot of normal tissue in your body, like the skin, the gut. So that's how I also had certain complications of that in the form of hypothyroidism and scleroderma. So scleroderma can be quite a debilitating disease by itself, because scleroderma is an autoimmune condition. So here I was, by the end of 2003, I was in remission. But I had, the signs of scleroderma had started showing up. So since I was in remission, my doctors felt that I should take care of my leg, because my leg was still broken. I still was walking with the help of a walker. So I went through a surgery in CMC Vellore for my leg, and a plate was fitted in the leg. So this was 2004, February. And I continued with the walker for another year. But by the time the scleroderma was slowly increasing, I was having my whole body was very stiff. Scleroderma is a kind of disease in which, your whole body becomes very tight. There is no elasticity in your skin. So most of my body was like a log of wood. If you touched my hand, you would feel you're touching a piece of wood. My face was like a mask. My hands had contractures type of a thing. So it was quite a tough time. And it was during that time, that is in Jan 2005, when I was walking, trying, the stretch, maybe I stretched my leg in such a way that the plate inside my leg broke. So you can imagine how tight my body had been. There was no elasticity, that a plate inserted also broke without any fall or anything. I had not had a fall or nothing, but it just broke. So there I was left. At that was also the time, March 2005, when the cancer came back. So all that time till 2005, I had been pretty strong myself. I was very positive, and the outlook I had was just as a go-getter, to come out of this whole thing very well. But at that time, that was really my low point, because the cancer was back. I had a broken plate in my leg, which could not be removed because there was no elasticity in the skin. The doctor said if I cut open the wound, it's going to be gaping. So let it be as it is. So they left the broken plate inside me. I was also fighting scleroderma. And at that time, it had started affecting my lungs. So breathing was getting difficult. So my doctors also told me that, yes, if this doesn't, we can't control this, then, this can trouble you later on. I mean, this was in March 2005. So I was really low at that time. And that's when I came across somebody who introduced me to Brahma Kumaris and taught me the way of meditation in Brahma Kumaris. I used to read a lot of spiritual books. I was reading Paramahansa Yogananda. I was reading many books, but I still felt I did not get my path, which I wanted to follow. So I was probably searching. And then when this happened, I really connected, and I started meditating according to how I was taught by the Brahma Kumaris. And I won't, the whole next 6 months, it gave me such tremendous strength. Physically, I won't say physically, but mentally. Mentally, I became quite strong. I was strong before also, but this really strengthened me at a time when I was absolutely low, physically also, and even mentally, because I had finished all my treatment options by then, what was available. So they started me on some more treatment, some tablets, and also the health kept wavering up and down. So 2006, again, I had a relapse in December. It was in my right leg now. The leg was still broken. I was still on the walker. I was not able to walk around on my own. So 2006, again, I had the same plasmacytoma came on my right leg. So the doctors said, okay, we'll give you radiation. So I had about 20 sittings of radiation. And after that, I was to have chemotherapy. A new drug had just come into the market and they wanted to give it to me. So March 2007, they gave me that drug. But I developed a very bad reaction to the drug. And I had a very bad pneumonia bilaterally. And it was so bad that my doctors really told my family that they really didn't have any hope for me at that time. But I was very positive. I had no inclination at that time that, such things were being told to my family. And in the meantime, after my scleroderma had become quite worse in 2005, I had started with pranayama in a big way. I used to do at least half an hour because I couldn't do any asanas. I couldn't walk at all. So the only thing that was possible for me to do was pranayama. So I did those breathing exercises and it really helped to improve my lung capacity, because where the doctors were saying that my lungs would pack up in 6 months, when I went to them after that, they were very surprised. They said that, your capacity is better than many other normal people right now, in spite of your scleroderma. So that was only, I feel, basically because of my doing very regular pranayama. And it also helped me with my scleroderma, in controlling the elasticity of the skin, because the skin was still bad, it was still tight, and it was making things difficult for me. So this all happened till 2007. 2007, when I was admitted in the hospital with this bad pneumonia, I was the person who had introduced me to Brahma Kumaris. I just met him the day, I was in hospital. I was just getting admitted that day. So I asked him, what are you doing? He was also in the Air Force, serving in the Air Force, and he himself had been a cancer patient and a hepatitis C patient. So he had come for his annual checkups. So he said, "Ma'am, I'm just going to get my checkup done and I will be going by evening." So I said, "Okay." But after that, I was busy because I was not well. But next 20 days that I was in hospital, this gentleman was coming every day and into my room where I was admitted and meditating and praying for me. So I came, and the day I was discharged after 20 days, and after 20 days, the next day after my discharge, he also got the kit which was available for the test. He got his kit and he also got discharged. So, it really reaffirmed my faith that this is divine intervention, because imagine a person who has come for one day, stays 20 days in hospital because the kit for his test was not available. So who made that possible? And he came and prayed, and that gave me a lot of strength, mentally and physically at that time, because I was very, very ill at that time. So that was also a very bad phase. So, this journey has taught me so many things, over a period of time, and strengthened my faith. So then after 2007, after 2-3 months after coming back from my hospital, my left leg started oozing pus. And that was the leg which had the broken plate inside. So my doctor said, "You need to get it amputated." So I was all ready for an amputation. I met a lot of amputees also, and sort of prepared myself and tried to give myself, tried to say to myself that yes, at least my quality of life would be better. I would be able to move around. So maybe this is the next step. But just before I was to get operated, about a week before I was to get operated, I met another surgeon who told me that, Gayatri, the feel of your own leg is your own leg. You must take a second opinion. So I just spoke to my doctor and I went to Tata Memorial, and I met an orthopedic oncologist there who operated on me. And he operated and he removed all the pus and everything. And he said, "Okay, now this is going to be fine." He put my leg in a cast. He gave me IV injections, antibiotics for almost 45 days continuously. I was on IV antibiotics. But when they opened it again, this was in 2008, January, the pus was still there. The plate had been removed, but the pus was still there. So again, he did something. He put in some medicines, antibiotic granules or whatever inside, and, for hoping for it to get better and heal. But it did not. So by the end of May 2008, he also told me, "Gayatri, you have no option now but for an amputation." Then one last option he gave me again. Suddenly he said that there is something called as an Elizaro fixator. It's an external fixator which you use, and once you use that, it can maybe we can try and control this infection. So he referred me to one of the best surgeons in Bombay for that. And I went to him, and 1.5 years later, that means 2009, October, November, was when my leg united. And the bone united after number of surgeries with him also, and with a leg shortening. So I have a leg shortening of about 5.5 centimeters on my left leg. So it was, this was the journey. After that, very amazingly, the cancer went into remission in 2007 after that episode, which I told you. So the cancer never came back. I'm not on any cancer medication right now. But yes, I have had ups and downs because of my scleroderma. I have a lot of peripheral neuropathy, which is a reminder of all the medications that I have gone through. So, but it's a small price to pay to be here with all of you today and speaking with you. So yes, this has been my journey. And since once I became a little okay, I had to, I had to literally learn how to walk again. And it was like taking baby steps again after almost 10 years. So my husband, he was like a pillar of support for me, and always pushed me, towards getting better. Even there were times when I used to give up, but my parents, my in-laws, so, having that family support was very important for me. And after when I became okay, I started volunteering in various ways I could to, give back to society in my own way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Gayatri, for sharing this amazing journey. And as you were speaking, I was thinking, it happened when you were very young. 34 is when you actually, start your another phase of your journey. And आपके बच्चे भी उस वक्त बहुत छोटे थे. And after studying for so many years, that was a time when, probably you would have, okay, अभी थोड़ा सा stability आ रहा है life में. और बच्चे भी अब थोड़े से बड़े हो गए हैं और उस टाइम पे जब आपके साथ में ये सब कुछ हुआ, स्पेशली यू योरसेल्फ इज अ डॉक्टर, सो उस वक्त जब आपके साथ में इतना मिसडायग्नोसिस हुआ था, जो कि मतलब अदरवाइज लोगों का परसेप्शन होता है कि एक डॉक्टर को तो सब कुछ पता होता है. आई नो कैंसर इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट फील्ड, बहुत ही अलग फील्ड है पीडियाट्रिशियन के कंपैरिजन में, बट द नेटवर्क इज ऑल्सो देयर, है ना. तो उस वक्त जब आपके साथ में मिसडायग्नोसिस हुआ तो आप कैसे उसको अवॉइड कर सकते थे?
डिम्पल, मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा कि मैं कैसे उसको अवॉइड कर सकती थी उस टाइम, क्योंकि मैंने सब कुछ किया जो एक इंसान को करना चाहिए उस टाइम. यानी जितने भी डॉक्टर्स को मैं वो सैंपल भेज सकती थी मैंने भेजा. माय सैंपल वेंट टू द बेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूशंस इन द कंट्री. सीएमसी में गया था, एम्स में गया, आर्मी हॉस्पिटल, बेस हॉस्पिटल, टाटा मेमोरियल हॉस्पिटल, and I also sent the sample to the US. So all the samples gave me different results. It was only Tata which kept saying it is plasmacytoma, it is multiple myeloma, and which after 6 months all the others also reiterated that yes, it is multiple myeloma. So see, sometimes like I said, the cell line is almost similar for plasmacytomas and for lymphoma, so that's why this confusion does take place at times. So I think I was unfortunate that time that it happened with me. So I'm, in fact, whenever I counsel patients, if anybody asks me, I always tell them that where you think there is a little bit of a dilemma, you must go in for a second opinion. And I'm glad that, I've been able to help so many people by doing that. There was a young child about a year back who was diagnosed with lymphoma by 2 hospitals. And then we told him to go for a second opinion to Tata and to Hinduja Hospital in Bombay. And after that, he did not, he was to start chemotherapy. And just because of this extended, I would say surfing and going for the second and third opinion, that could be avoided in that child. So it was a very big step, I think. So where there is a dilemma, one must take a second opinion.
Right. No, very important point. In fact, people take 4 or 5 opinions before going, and in fact, multiple opinion always good, because even when we began Zenoncorot and Lovell's cancer, when I was talking to a lot of doctors, and doctors ने भी यही बोला कि जब अगर मेरी फैमिली में किसी को कैंसर होता है तो मैं खुद एटलीस्ट 3-4 डॉक्टर के पास जाऊंगा. Though I myself is an oncologist, still I would go, because everybody has a different way of interpreting the pathology report. So better to not to take that chance and taking multiple opinions before confirming this. Right, very very important point. And जब आपने बताया कि when you were looking for a donor, and that's another challenge that usually patients face, finding for the right donor. So did you face any challenge in the beginning until your brother became your donor?
No, Dimple, I was fortunate that I did not face any such problem. But yes, I'm very glad you took up this question, because this is a very important, thing in cancer, blood cancer especially. People are so scared of giving their stem cells. I have had occasions of telling, there have been people who are so scared. I have sent them videos to show them that, it is such a safe procedure and you'll be saving a life. But still they are so scared. And they're all educated people. It's not that, I'm talking about, I think, telling some uneducated people is still a little easier, because they believe you much faster. But this person who I had to encounter last year was a very much educated person, and we sent them so many videos, so much of material, that it doesn't. So my word for everybody here would be, and that, one should not be scared of giving their stem cells for donation, because it's a very noble thing to do, and it really doesn't harm you at all. So the donor has no side effect as such, and yes, you're going to help give life to somebody. So
right. Yeah, thank you. In fact, many people face this challenge of finding the right match. Any websites, anything that you can probably recommend? अगर कोई match ढूंढ रहा हो तो कहाँ पे वो लोग contact कर सकते हैं?
See, in India you have Datri करके है एक वेबसाइट जो हेल्प करता है लोगों को स्टेम सेल्स मैच के लिए, HLA मैच के लिए। और बाकी सिंगापुर में है, US में है, बाहर के देशों में है। ये जो HLA कीपिंग बोन मैरो रजिस्ट्री इज अ वेरी एक्सपेंसिव थिंग. So it's not that people have not tried it in our country, but and they have given various proposals have been given for the same. But since it's a very expensive thing to handle, that's why they have not got this permission from the government and all to start this kind of a thing in India. But you have private में है कुछ है, Datri is one of them.
Right.
Which does help to get a match. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Dr. Mukesh Chandra has shared that he is having multiple myeloma. So, Dr. Mukesh, I'm requesting you to unmute. Would you like to share your journey? So, for any other help question that you may have for Dr. Gayatri?
Yes. Good evening, madam. Myself, Dr. Mukesh Trivedi. I am suffering from multiple myeloma since May 19, and I was undergone the BMT from December 19. Now I am feeling okay, but my lambda ratio and kappa, lambda chain and kappa chain both are increasing, both are raised. What should I do? My lambda kappa chain is normal, but ratio is normal, but lambda and kappa chain is raised. M band is not same. Yes, ma'am.
So I don't think so you need to worry about it if your ratio is normal, because what really matters is the ratio here. And
Yes,
if your M spike is not being seen, and if immunofixation is also not showing any band or anything, then I don't think so we need to worry at the moment. You must be in remission. And in case there is anything, I think your hematologist is the best person to answer you on this,
Yes, madam, my
because, one thing is there, that every case of multiple myeloma is specific for that person. You will find, every case, the treatment will be specific to that case. So because the presentation, it depends on what the presentation is, how the presentation is. So whether you have presented with anemia, whether you presented with bone lesions, whether you presented with a kidney problem, so what kind of presentation you had. So it will depend on that. But as of now, if you're saying your kappa lambda ratio is normal, your M band is not seen, I think you can just rest assured that things are okay right now. Are you on any maintenance drug?
Yes, madam. Lenalidomide, tablet lenalidomide, 10 mg daily for 21 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're getting follow-up from your doctor regularly, right?
Yes, regular follow-up. And I am actually, madam, I am presenting with bone pain. My sacrum is erosion, major erosion in sacrum. So I am suffering from backache. So I want to go for CT scan. And in CT scan, they diagnose that there is a secondary metastasis, maybe. Then I go to spinal surgeon and he diagnosed with MRI, PET CT scan, and bone marrow biopsy, and also bone marrow aspiration. All the reports findings are about the multiple myeloma, plasmacytoma, madam. All our reports are, and then I go for hematologist, and hematologist started the chemotherapy, and after 7 cycles they decided for bone marrow transplantation. After transplantation I am okay, but my CBC count, particularly platelets count, are not increasing more than 1 lakh, always between 50,000 to 1 lakh. My platelets are not good, madam.
Okay.
And sometimes our WBC count is also decreasing.
That is probably because of the lenalidomide that you're taking. So once you take these chemo drugs, there is a little bit of bone marrow suppression does take place, which keeps your counts low. So you can, I don't know whether you should do a little bit of yoga and pranayam if you can. It will help you, because see, when you do pranayam, the amount of oxygen you take is 5 times more than what you would normally take. We don't use our lung capacity, even 30% of our lung capacity in the normal time. So if you do pranayam regularly, then your breathing capacity will increase, the cellular exchange of gases is better, and that obviously does help our cancer to get better. See, take care of your diet, eat a healthy, nutritious diet. and try and be positive about things. You know, think like, you know, when I think about small goals which you can give yourself, you know, to do better for your life, you know, for yourself. And today, one thing you must understand, that there are so many new drugs for multiple myeloma, that you still, you know, that is one good thing. There are a lot of researches going on, and a lot of new drugs are in the market. So you still have a lot of options, and let's not think that you will go into relapse, but I'm just trying to tell you that you still have a lot of treatment options.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mukesh, for asking, and I hope that your query solve ho gayi hai. Otherwise, we can connect you with Dr. Gayatri later if she permits. And
Thank you, madam.
yeah, thank you, Dr. Gayatri, for answering that. So, Dr. Gayatri, can you please share your experience around your caregiving? Because I'm assuming that though you were patient, but you had two daughters who were very, who were kids at that time. So at the same time, you said your husband's support were there always for you. So were you the caregivers for your daughters? Were you the patient and the caregiver was your husband? So how did all that happen?
See, I was, I was lucky at that time that my in-laws shifted with me, and, you know, they looked after my children, because I was in and out of hospital most of the time. And I spent a good amount of time in Vellore because the transplant and the surgery. So my mother and my dad and my husband used to be with me, and my in-laws used to look after my children. So for that, I'm really grateful to, you know, that's what I thank God for, because I had such a wonderful family. And my children never experienced that thing that, you know, there is nobody there, nobody to look after them. Like grandparents gave them a normal family life, you know, not that they missed out on much. Yes, they would obviously miss their not having their parents around, but whenever we were there, we tried to, you know, like whenever I used to be out of hospital, when I could do something, then I would definitely try and take over. But yes, there was a big support from them.
Right, no, very true. Family support बहुत ज़्यादा matter करता है, और ये disease ऐसी है कि उसमें all the family members, whoever can provide whatever support is very important, and that way only. Otherwise, अगर हम लोग खुद ही सब कुछ करना चाहें, हम लोग सुपर हीरो बनना चाहें, but उस केस में बहुत struggle होता है, और then, you know, everybody suffers. So it's better to take support from wherever you can. And I see many times that caregiver wants to be the superhero and say, okay, I will be able to do everything on my own. मैं सब कुछ अपने आप से कर लूँगा, कर लूँगी. But then at the end, they burnt out. They are not able to take care of everything together. So very, really glad that you had that strong family support. So yeah, thank you. And it's one of the very important, all the winners I talk to, this is a very common thing that they all say, that we had good, strong family support that helped us a lot in the recovery. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So there's a question from Sushil. Do you have any experience of alternative medication along with allopathy? Any integrated approach?
Yes, see, I did take homeopathy and a little bit of Ayurveda medicines. Ayurveda, I took curcumin and I took ashwagandha, because ashwagandha is good for the bones, and curcumin. But yes, this was like my doctors. I asked my doctors, see, no allopathic doctor is going to endorse any of these things. But they still, my doctors told me, as long as there are no metals in it, you can have it. I did tell them. So I did have homeopathy, I did have Ayurveda, like curcumin and ashwagandha. So what I would like to say is, see, these things, what they do is they help you they may help in improving your immunity. But please do not think that this is going to cure you of your cancer. So this is just an adjunct. It's a support. You know, it might help you to counter the side effects of your chemo and all that. But to think that this is going to be the cure for you, no, that doesn't happen. So let's just be very clear on this, that allopathy is the mainstay of treatment, and Ayurveda or homeopathy, whatever, it's an adjunct to that. See, what happens is, when I had my relapse in 2004, at that time I had already had 2 transplants. I had my brother's cells given back to me once again, second time. So my treatment options were almost over at that time. So that's when I first time explored with homeopathy. So one generally would go to such lines when you have no other options open to you. But as long as allopathy is giving you an option, I would still go for it. Curcumin, yes, it is good to have because it increases the immunity. Curcumin is basically a concentrated form of turmeric. So it's good for you. But then that too, what doctors say is that you should not have it on, if you're having allopathy, then don't have it on the day of your chemo.
Right.
Skip it and then have it after the chemo. You
Mhm.
can have it after that.
Thank
So
you.
that is going to keep your immunity high, like all these cells going down, the cell numbers going down, like Dr. Mukesh said. So yeah, he can try curcumin and ashwagandha because ashwagandha is good for the bones, so it keeps the bones strong.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Very true. Always what we call integrative approach, which is nothing but medical plus complementary together. So complementary helps in managing the side effects, improving the quality of life, and work as a. So the name itself says that it's complementary. तो इसका काम ही complement करना है, ना कि replace करना है. So and it's better to take evidence based complementary therapies. जो आपने बताया meditation है, प्राणायाम है, योगा है, ये सब complementary therapies ही है जो हम लोग सब follow करते हैं. And this has immense benefits, especially side effects को fight करने के लिए, manage करने के लिए. So yeah, thank you for sharing insights. And in fact, good to hear from a doctor, because many times in our groups, patients say that, okay, ask your oncologist, and the other patient says that, which oncologist prescribed curcumin? Tell me that. So
see, it's a holistic approach, Dimple. It's a holistic approach. See, when I'm also associated with an NGO called as Yodhas, which was started by a young multiple myeloma patient himself, but unfortunately we lost him.
yeah.
So we on the group, we get a lot of patients who want to, who like to endorse these alternative therapies. But one has to be very firm with them to tell them that, look, this is not the mainstay of treatment. This is not the mainstay of treatment, because see, there are so many, everybody is not strong on the group. There are people who are struggling. They are they are at the lowest point, and they are willing to grab anything that somebody is showing them.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful about that, because one can be led astray.
Right.
So one has to be very firm about such things, that yes,
Right.
it is just an adjunct and it is not the mainstay of therapy.
Right. Dr. Gayatri, when you said that you had near-death experiences twice, I think, right? So, which is a very big thing to go through such experience. So, if I may ask you, what was the only thing that mattered to you during that time when you were having that experience?
I see, the first time I remember, it was during my first transplant. I just collapsed in the bathroom with my there was an IV line attached to my hand and everything with the stand, and I just collapsed, and they got me out. The doctors were there within 5 minutes and they revived me. They told me it was a kind of a vasovagal attack or something. But so I don't have much of a recollection of what happened at that time or what came to my thought. But yes, there was a time when, before my transplant in Vellore, one day I was sort of, just before my transplant, I had gone to the doctor, just finished my tests and come into the room. I was resting. And suddenly this thought came to me that, as if, I'm just this body, I'm leaving this body type. But then that time I had this feeling that I was trying to say, no, this is not my time and I don't want to leave it. And I have lots to do still. So at that time, maybe, what happens, Dimple, what you read and all that also has its impact on you. I had just been reading about a book by Paramahansa Yogananda, in which he mentions that if everything in this universe has a will, your disease also has its own will, and your willpower is another will. So it depends on what is more stronger. If the willpower of your disease is stronger than your own willpower, then that is going to take over your life. So if your willpower is stronger than the disease, then you can win over every battle you wish to. So at that moment, I really felt I was hearing those words, and I sort of suddenly came back to my consciousness. Then when 2007, when I had this pneumonia, so at that time also, because I was a little ill, I really do not have much of recollection of that phase, what happened. But all the time I felt, that there was somebody holding my hand and not letting me go. So that feeling was always there at that time.
Right. Yeah.
So in fact, I keep telling people that, it is very, we all say, the patients whom we meet, we can keep telling them, you must be positive. Your thought process has to be positive. It's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. At that time, when you're suffering, you're in so much pain. To think of that is not an easy task. But I kept giving myself small goals all the time. I kept giving myself small goals. Like I keep mentioning this in every talk that I generally try to tell people, that when I was in the hospital room, when I had my surgery and the leg surgery, etc. So I didn't know how long I was going to live. I just knew that this was a cancer which did not have a very high survival rate. There was no cure for it. But so at that moment, I just thought, I was just trying to close my eyes and I was praying, and I saw myself I saw that my children are getting married and I'm standing there. So then when I got up, I said, look, they are just so young. It's another 15, 20 years away. So I felt at that moment, look, you have given yourself 20 years more. So nothing is going to happen for the next 20 years because you're going to be there for that event. So that is the kind of, and that gave me so much of a strength and, a willpower. My willpower was very strong that way. And it gave me the strength that, look, what come, what may, I am going to be there to see that day. So there have been very many circumstances and many instances when this has proved true. So I have always given myself small goals, and that's what I tell all patients. Don't give up on dreams just because you have any kind of a cancer. You don't have to give up on your dreams. Yes, we have to continue to live. We have to continue to dream, because that's what's going to keep us going. Even I have seen families where, once the patient is diagnosed, everything is like, everybody becomes so morose and everybody is very, like subdued. They don't want to play music. They don't want to enjoy themselves because they feel that, it's like, oh, there's a patient of cancer at home. So that kind of stigma is still there for everybody. And we need to get people out of that mindset. So I keep telling people that, you need to get out of this mindset that just because you have cancer, you can't enjoy yourself. You must make every possible use of this time with your family, enjoy your life, laugh with them, enjoy with them, whatever way you can. Yes, you can't go out. Maybe, when I was on chemo and all, for almost 10 years, we never went out. It was only hospitals and home, hospital and home. And you won't believe, my children, the moment I was to go to hospital for getting blood, because there was a time I needed blood transfusion every 15 days. So every 15 days, I used to tell them, okay, chalo beta, petrol bharne ka waqt aa gaya, chalo. So we used to all sit in the car. They would come to the hospital with me. And for them, the biggest thing about coming to the hospital was going and visiting a canteen out there and treating themselves to some chips and some cola or something like that. So, you have to find happiness in small things around you and in whatever way you can. It needn't be very big. So the message would be to everybody that, just don't stop living. Cancer is there, but you have to beat this by saying you're more powerful than the cancer. The cancer is there within you, but if you allow it to win over you, then you're losing your battle. But if you win over it, you have a long way ahead to go.
Yeah, very true, and wonderful insights. And thank you for sharing the reflections, because whatever you have said, absolutely true. And I'm sure those who have won the battle can completely relate to it. Those who are going through it, the journey currently, can completely understand, because willpower, never giving up, it always helps a lot when you go through that journey. So thanks a lot for your reflection. And you also said that meditation helped you a lot, and there's something also we call power of attraction. So would you like to share something on that?
Yes, I would, because meditation really helped me a lot, and especially I would say post my 2005 phase, when I started with the Brahma Kumari's meditation. It gave me a lot of calmness and a lot of strength. There was a time when my husband would tell me sometime that, Gayatri, you're the one who's sick. You're the one who's taking all these therapies and all, but you seem to have more energy than all of us at home for certain things. So I don't know, that strength comes, somehow when with meditation, that strength does come. Your faith, you have to have faith that yes, you are going to heal. And that faith comes from, keeping that faith in some supreme power also, from where you're going to get that strength. So the meditation really calms you, and there are a lot many. I used to practice a kind of a color meditation, healing color meditation, which really helped me. I used to feel, when I used to meditate, I used to think of this body as totally healed. I used to see my bone united. I used to see my body rid of all the cancer cells. So I give a very good example about this to all the patients. I tell them, imagine when you're taking the chemotherapy, when you're in the hospital, that as the drug is going into you, if you all have seen the advertisement of Vicks, Vicks ki goli lo, khich khich dur karo, all those germs, as soon as you take the Vicks, all of them disappear, So I keep telling them that that's how you have to imagine. You have to think that as the chemotherapy is, the liquid is flowing into you, or if you're taking radiation, as you're sitting for radiation, just see that with one shot of that radiation, all the cancer cells inside you are dead. That's, the meditation is nothing but how good your power of imagination is, how good your power of visualization is. So what you see and what you want, you can attract. If your visualization is good, you can attract.
Yeah.
So again, that reminds me of one more thing I will share with you. Paul Coelho's book, Alchemist, there is a saying in that if you desire something with all your heart, the entire universe conspires to give it to you. So you have to keep telling yourself in your body that yes, the cancer is within me, but you have to talk to your cancer cells. I used to do that. I used to tell them that you are not powerful. I am more powerful than you. So you need to have such conversations. Whatever way you can, you will search, everybody will find their own ways of dealing with it. But these are some kind of small things, which one can use in their journey.
Right. No, very true. Amazing insights. You said you followed Paramahansa Yogananda. So can you please share your key insights which can also help others?
See, Paramahansa Yogananda's, I used to read a lot of his books. So the main thing which I remember from one book which I have read of his is that, which I've already shared right now with you, that every disease has its own will. So your willpower has to be stronger than the willpower of the disease. So don't let the disease willpower get the better of you. You have to have a stronger willpower.
Right. Okay.
Many a times, I would like to say this because patients, when I meet them, you try to tell them something good, they will still come and tell you something which is, they might be doing good, but they will try to search for something which is not good. So I keep trying to tell them that why aren't you looking at the 75% good that is there? Why are you looking at only the 30% which is not right? Try and enjoy that 75% at least.
Right.
Because by denying that 75%, you are also denying, by focusing on the 30%, you are denying the 75% to yourself. So try and, think of the good part also. One thing, see, even if somebody, I'm not saying that everybody is going to have a very good result, and there are some cases which are, maybe as they're bad cases, they're terminal cases. We have faced so many, but we need to tell them also, okay, if you know that your time is less, why don't you enjoy it with your family? Give your best. Let the family also, the caregivers, everybody participates in giving that person, so that you make good memories for yourself. You make memories which you will enjoy, you will remember and you will smile after that. Let's not have memories which are going to make us cry. Let us have memories which will make us smile at the, at the memory of a departed soul.
Right.
Something like that.
काफी सही बोला. In fact, coincidentally today I was going through my and Nitish's pictures of last 6 months, and what I felt that, and for me it's like 3 years ago it happened, but what I felt that when I was going through those pictures, as in when the events happened, I could see that all the time he was smiling. We were being loved by many people, cared by people. We created wonderful memories. that when I saw those pictures, I was like, okay, where is all the pain that he was facing in these pictures? Because all
Exactly.
the pictures are like full of joy. And it's like, that the 6 months, 8 months were really beautiful. So those are the memories that we created. And so though we never accepted that, yes, he has 6 months, we tried every day to fight hard for that. At the same time, we were, taking each day at a time, and also at the same time creating wonderful memories that we will cherish forever. So yeah, I mean, coincidentally today that happened, so can relate to it. Yeah.
I used to follow your, because I think when Nitesh was around also, you were on Facebook and you used to put up all those amazing posts. And I used to always feel that, वो जिंदा दिल इंसान जैसे बोलते हैं ना, वो छलकता था आप लोगों के दोनों के इससे, it is not that you were not going through any pain, he was not going through any pain, but yes, you fought and you made your memories.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a question from Pranab ji. Dr. Gayatri, do you believe live each day as it comes?
Yes, to a large extent, I would believe that live each day as it comes. But, one thing I would like to speak about in this is that, there are many patients, who, see, we have to know that, you are dealing with whatever kind of disease you have, whether it is multiple myeloma or any cancer that you're dealing with, that you are, there are going to be, because when you will slip suddenly, you don't know. So many people do not let their family know about, certain insurances or financial assets or whatever. And this is something which we faced with a lot of patients whom I visited also. So that's why I would like to speak about it, that we have to focus on that also in our talks. We have to let our patients know that they should let their family know what are their assets or what are the kind of responsibilities they have, financial responsibilities or liabilities that they have, because many a times the family is left in doldrums, after that, because they don't know anything. And then you'll have a line of people outside your door asking you for this money, that money. So this is a very important part, because see, it is not that cancer treatment is cheap. Cancer treatment is very expensive, prohibitively expensive at times, especially when the drugs are so expensive for certain kinds of cancers. So there, it is very important that every family member knows, means the main family member who is responsible for you and after you should know about your liabilities and your assets. So live life each day, but yes, with a little bit of caution regarding these things. We have to be responsible also, and we have to live each day with a smile. Each day, I would say that, live each day as if, there is no tomorrow.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, very true. So now we would like to hear from others about their journey, their experiences from today's circle. So Pranab ji, would like to start with you.
Namaste, Gayatri ji. Actually, listening to your journey, I become speechless. Amazing it is, and I think you are inspiring others through this journey. Now, just one curiosity you may tell, that you told that twice you escaped death during your treatment. So during that escaping, have you any vision of visionary reflection of journey to the unknown world?
No. No. Unfortunately, no.
That is fortunately, not unfortunately.
See, when I mentioned about near-death experiences, it was not that I was, I had gone into a coma or something. It was such that my medical condition was such that doctors had put me on the dangerously ill list, and they had told my family, yes, anything can happen. She's quite ill. So that is what I mean by being dangerously ill. It was not that I was in a coma or something. So I never had such experiences.
Another strategy that during this treatment, during this critical time of your at night, do you dream? Do you have a few dreams during this critical pain or critical time?
Yes, that I did mention to you about it once, that when I was in Vellore, I did have one such dream wherein I felt that I was leaving my body, and then and I was crying very profusely because I didn't want to go, and I was trying to tell somebody, I don't know who I was trying to tell, maybe it was God, that you have given me so much responsibility and you are taking me without me fulfilling those responsibilities. So please, I'm not still ready to come. So at that time, I could see Yogananda, Paramans Yogananda, who was telling me this line, this sentence, which I literally live by this sentence, like, that it is up to you if you want to go or not. It is what your will says. Are you ready? If you say no, you're not ready, and you're stronger than what is trying to take it away from you, then you will not go anywhere. You will stay here. So that was a kind of a thing which I did experience once, but
Yeah,
no such.
actually, that was a signpost of your recovery. In some cases, it happens. These are the signposts or signals for your recovery.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kanabda. Yeah, Mehul, would you like to share anything?
Hi, Gayatri. So happy to see you. And
Hello, Mehul.
really, you've been always so inspiring. Right from the day I know you, I've been listening to stories about you, and practically I had stopped breathing when you were talking about your war with cancer, and I forgot to breathe because I'm like, oh my God, एक से निकल के दो से निकल के तीन, and you're still. I've always seen you. If I think of you, I see your smiling face. That's it. So I've always seen you smiling, and thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts, and I could relate so many incidents, like you were thinking about you have to live to see your kids getting married and all. Same thing happened with me. Like I used to think that I'm going to dance. मैं तो मेरे बच्चे की शादी पे नाचूंगा. I am not going to die so fast. And yes, you were talking about that Vicks example, like you have to think. Same thing I could relate it. When I was in radiations, I used to welcome the rays and ask them to kill all the guys. Like I used to talk to myself on all these. But yeah,
Excellent.
these are some things that actually help you make strong. And I don't know if there's some so I started believing in the power of attraction from my treatment, and it really works. Like I've seen so many people like you who have come out of this relate to such incidents. So yeah, but honestly, very happy you made my day, and it's been a long time. Hope to meet you again very soon.
Yes, sure. Actually, Mehul's journey is itself very inspiring, and he is himself an ambassador for so many. So,
Everyone, credit to Dr. Gayatri. Yeah, amazing, inspiring journey Mehul also has, and
yes.
yeah, many others. So really grateful to be connected with all of you on this platform. Yeah, Divya, would you like to share?
Yeah, first of all, heads up to Gayatri ma'am. Like there were things after things going with her, but the way she handled it with so much of positivity and strength is just amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
to
no,
her.
it's not that. I keep telling people it's nothing that it is there in one person. It is not there. It's there in all of us. It's, this energy is there in all of us. It's just that we need to tap it. We need to recognize it because, and I keep giving people an example about what happened in Bhuj during the earthquake. There was a lady, old lady, 85-year-old lady who was on the top floor of a house, and her family was trying to get down with a with a rassi type, like a cloth, like sari dal ke us pe bandh ke, everybody was trying to descend down. So they told her that now look, you also have to come down. We can't help you. You will also have to come down like this only. So she said, I can't come like this. What can I do? How will I come and on that? And then they said, okay, we can't do anything. And they all started getting down. So she was alone left. I mean, they suddenly एक और झटका आया, फटाफट माता उठी और नीचे उतर गई उस रस्सी से। तो कहाँ से आई ये ताकत? तो वो ताकत हम सबके अंदर है, but it's just that we are not willing to tap it. We are not willing to recognize it and go for it. So this kind of example, I think we have seen in so many areas of our life, under so many circumstances.
And Divya is going through, she has overcome cancer once, and now she is fighting another battle, and we are sure that she's going to come out of victoriously. So Divya, how is it going for you? How's the experience so far?
It's quite okay. Like I had my 5th chemotherapy yesterday, and I'll have my 6th chemotherapy on 6th August, and then again bone marrow test. I had my bone marrow test on 23 June, but I still have some blast. So yeah, more chemotherapy required.
How's parents feel?
They are good.
Yeah, good. Of course, after seeing you, everybody will become good. I think they will be drawing strength from you.
Very smiling face and really. All the best to you, Divya. You
Thank you so
find
much.
it.
Yeah, she has been a sweetheart of so many people in the community, and amazing, very brave, courageous person. Yeah, we all draw strength from her. Yeah. Thank you, Divya. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Radha ji?
Yes. Hi. आपकी जर्नी सुन के रियली आई हैड गूज बम्स ना, मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगा कि बाप रे कितना ज्यादा आपने सफर किया। उस हिसाब से मैं ईश्वर को धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि मेरी जर्नी तो उस हिसाब से बहुत आसान रही, मतलब फर्स्ट टाइम भी और इवन सेकंड टाइम भी। बट हेड्स ऑफ टू योर स्पिरिट, और आपको सुन के बहुत अच्छा लगा, मतलब इतनी ज्यादा पॉजिटिविटी मिली है। और थैंक्स टू डिम्पल इतना अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट किया है कि एक से एक इंस्पिरेशनल मतलब लोग मिलते हैं। दिव्या की स्माइल देख लो, उसका लेटर टू कैंसर देख लो, एवरीथिंग, मेहुल है, सभी लोगों की स्टोरी इतनी इंस्पायरिंग है कि बस तो हर सैटरडे हमारी एनर्जी बूस्ट हो जाती है कि नेक्स्ट वीक तक के लिए बहुत बढ़िया।
Yeah, very true, Anuradha. In fact, before Healing Circle, I was like, okay, I am a little bit exhausted. आज शायद workout नहीं होगा, but I think definitely होगा. So yeah, in fact, your journey also, Anuradha ji, 2 times very inspiring. And आप जो आपको तो you are working with so many other cancer patients, caregiver, winners. So hats off to you, because आप तो रोज इतने सारे लोगों को गाइड करते हो, उनसे बात करते हो, उनको सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करते हो. So you are mother of everyone, I'd say. Yeah. Okay. I think उनका शायद इंटरनेट का कुछ इशू हो गया है. Okay, राजेंद्र जी.
Hello.
Hello, Rajendra ji.
Yes. See, video. Gayatri means sharing of experience is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. All whatever she said is so wonderful. 2-3 things I really loved. One, what he said about the book Alchemist. When you want something from the universe, entire universe will conspire to give it that thing to you. I think that is a very, very good sentence. Later write against on the platform and let it be sent to everybody. It's a beautiful book. I have also read that book, Alchemist. Is worth reading a book and very enjoyable. Second thing, what she said very nicely, when you are in a pain, you would not like, or you may not like the positive advice of somebody. It is very true, because when you are in pain, somebody says that you be positive. Pain only you suffer, somebody will only give an advice. And at that time, I personally feel that reading many books or meeting friends or having any hobby or meditation, these 4 things are wonderful and they help us a lot. So each one, everyone going through this journey has to do these things. And she said it very wonderfully. So Alchemist book also you tell everybody to read. I have read it, beautiful book. And she has said one very nice sentence, ki your willpower should win over the willpower of the disease. I think that also is a wonderful thing. All these three things, I will write it down in my daily diary, and I'll remember for her ever, because these three things, though new, but when somebody sees it again, then again it will already stores in your mind, and that also help, because as and when we progress in life, some or other thing is going to come to you at that time when you feel frustrated or when you feel unhappy or for any such matter. These things I think will be very useful, very good. I must congratulate her wholeheartedly. It's a wonderful, very wonderful speech, and I am just amazed.
Yeah. Yeah, we all are equally amazed by her inspiring journey, and that too, she was very young, a mother of 2 young daughters, and having gone through multiple surgeries, multiple relapses.
Yes.
It takes lots of courage, determination, strong willpower, family support, and faith in God, in higher power, and faith in doctors. A lot more things to
Yes.
go through that journey. So we are blessed to have you with us, Dr. Gayatri, today on this platform. Healing.
Sure, certainly,
Thank you
certainly.
so much.
Would
Thank
like
you
to
so
talk
much,
to her
Tanmay.
sometime also. So you share her number also.
I will, yeah, definitely. Anybody wants to share any experiences here, you can request to unmute and you can share. कोई share करना चाहता है? Okay. Great. And we also wish speedy recovery to Dr. Mukesh when you are going through this journey, and to Divya also. Yeah, be always happy, bright, shining, smiling. So yeah, and Dr. Gayatri, special thanks to you. These are the stories, inspirational journeys that inspire many others who are going through the journey. काफी लोगों को ऐसा होता है कि मतलब looking at it from the perspective of कि मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ, but your story is really it gives lots of courage that it's okay, it has happened, but then you can overcome it like how you did. So when one can, then anybody can. So doing all those things together. So any few last words, Dr. Gayatri, that you would want to share with all?
See, all of us are, in this journey together, and such platforms always give each other a lot of inspiration and a lot of strength to fight. So what I would like to say to everybody is that each one's journey is unique, and every moment of life should be enjoyed, because life is a present. Every day is a present for you. So enjoy that gift that is there, and keep your fight on, keep your spirit positive. Yes, there are going to be ups and downs. You cannot keep it, your level of the mind all the time in that same frame. But yes, even if it is a low moment, doesn't matter. Okay, once it is low, but you have to bounce back. You have to come out of it. You don't have to go deeper and deeper into it. That is very important. That once you start feeling down, once you start feeling low, you have to just tell your mind, yes, this is a bad day I'm having, but tomorrow again I'm going to be back. Because each one of our journeys is special for us, because we are special for our families. All of us are special for our families. So we have to feel that yes, we are needed, and we need them, and they also need us. So we have to do all the efforts to be happy, and we have to be all the efforts to stay well. Take the treatment and whatever you have to take with a smile. Yes, it is going to trouble you. It's not going to be easy, but take it and think that you're going to get better with this. It is like prasad de raha hai Bhagwan aapko ki aap theek ho jaiye, shareer theek ho jayega. So take it like that.
Yeah.
Each of your journeys is as equally inspiring. So just stay strong and keep inspiring always.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today's Healing Circle Talks and making this space even more beautiful. As every the Healing Circle. So really, we are blessed that we are a part of this group, this community, and able to connect with each other. So thank you so much, and we'll meet again in next Healing Circle Talks on Saturday. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you
Bye.
so
Thanks,
much.
Dr. Gayatri. Bye.